Welcome to episode 19 of the Comedy Defect Podcast. My name's Winter Phonander. I'm a comedian. This episode is episode 19 with David Tsonos. David Tsonos is a Canadian comic. He's been in the UK about 2 years. He's been going the best part of 20. Very funny man, great guy to have in a car journey with. You're going to really enjoy this one. But what's been happening with me? Well, I tell you, there's been a lot happening with me. I'm still trying to move into my missus's place, trying to get rid of all the big stuff. Otherwise, I'm going to have to leave it out on the street, which I can't do. Council will charge me for that, so I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to try and, as I say, the expression is downsize. I had a really good night's sleep the other night. Even though I've got a lot to do, I went to bed at 10, woke up the next day at about 9:30. It was great. A little bit too good, to be honest. I wasn't sure how I could deal with my day with that much energy in my system. I'm used to functioning on like 6 hours sleep a night. This was not a good day for me. It didn't feel right. I didn't feel like I was properly there. I didn't feel like I was on the edge. I don't think I'll do that again. I think that too much sleep is a bad thing. I think at about 10 hours sleep, not a good thing to do. No, I won't do that again. It's definitely, you know what they say, early to bed, early to rise. I think maybe 8 hours is just the limit. I think maybe just stick to 6. I just feel like I'm living on the edge. I'm experiencing more life. That's what I think I'm doing. Maybe I'll go for 5 hours. I don't know. We'll see. But you're going to really enjoy this episode with David Tsonos because I had a lot of fun talking to him. If you like this podcast, you can follow us on Twitter. We're there at The Comedy Defect. If you want to follow me, it's at Winter Phonander. If you want to come see my live stand-up gig dates, you can find them on my website, which is winterphonander.com. If you like this podcast and you want to donate to us, you can go to Patreon, type in The Comedy Defect Podcast, and donate as much or as little as you want. But if you can't kick something back to us, just leave us a nice review on iTunes or Podbean, because it really helps. That's all I'm going to say for this intro. Episode 19, David Tsonos. Enjoy. Hi, David, and welcome to this episode of the Comedy Defect Podcast. How you doing, man?
Thank you. Good, thank you. Thank you for coming to my abode, making the trip down here to Southeast London.
Southeast London.
Yeah, you can tell by my accent that I'm a local.
And how long have you been here?
In this place or in London now?
Well, in this one.
In this one, about a year here and 2 years in London. A little over 2 years in London.
Oh, yeah. And you come from Canada?
Yep.
Canadian?
Yep. Yeah, that would be
the place, the full name.
Yeah, born in Montreal, and then I started doing comedy in Vancouver, and then about 7 years in Vancouver, and then I moved to Toronto. And before I moved here, I was in Toronto doing comedy.
And which is the best place for comedy in Canada?
Well, that's debatable. That opens up a whole can. I think you should start off in a smaller area, and then eventually you have to move to Toronto because there's more clubs and simply more population. In Toronto. That's probably the best way that most people do it. But some people live in a small place, just like here in the UK. Some people become big fish in small ponds. They make up their own little, entity in smaller cities.
And is that what you're doing here? So you're like start off in Southeast London and then just spreading out, or just like it's just so connected, London? So
it's so connected. Yeah, I'm London. Village. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I'm not becoming the Southeastern. I should become the Southeast London comic. I should be known as that, but I'm afraid I don't
represent.
Yeah.
And to be fair, there's a lot of comics who start off in the southwest of the country, isn't there? There's loads of gigs down that neck of the woods.
Yeah, there is.
There's some big down there, and then it's kind of spread out. And, just infect the rest.
Yeah, every town out there seems to be doing a comedy night at one point or another, don't they?
There's a lot of characters down that neck of the woods as well.
Yeah.
You came over here to pursue the comedy and stuff.
Yeah,
and you did a fringe show this year called Professional Auditioner.
Yes, yeah, you got to be careful. I think, it's my second year doing it. Last year I did one called Walking the Cat, right? Which was, it had generally stuff.
This cat.
Yeah, there she is, yeah.
Right.
So we're on radio. You can't point something out on radio. How am I, radio? We're on a podcast. Yeah, you can't point out the cat.
We're on air, man. We're on air. Yeah. And what's the name of your cat?
This is Mitzi.
Mitzi? Oh,
yeah.
Okay. I had a dog called Mitzi.
Did you?
She was a...
That's a separate podcast right there.
Okay, sorry. It's not about me, Winter. I'm talking about myself in the third person now. I'm telling myself off in the third person. Oh, God, I hate myself. I need to create another person for hate. That's what I need to do. But
different podcast called Animals Named Mitzi.
Sorry, so you did last year.
Last year was called Walking the Cat, and Walking the Cat was like, it was a lot about cat ownership, but it had more general stuff in it as well. Anyone who's had a pet or known somebody who has a pet. So what I found is that this year, because it was a professional auditioner, it was very specific. It was a lot about the acting career and auditions and extra work and all sorts of things like that. So the only problem is that when you have something that more people can relate to, so last year Walking the Cat, people can relate to it more. People who came in off the streets enjoyed it. Whereas Professional Auditioner, it was tough for anyone to just walk in off the street. So the people who knew what it was about and came in there quite enjoyed it. But my Saturdays, it's so weird to say this, but I did not enjoy Saturdays in the Fringe because you got a lot of drunk people. Yeah. It was at 8:30 at night too, right? So I mean, I knew I was going to get a few. But my last Saturday, I actually didn't flyer.
Right.
And my last day, I actually didn't let a few people in who I thought, like, I don't think this is for you. I generally turned 4 people away.
Wow.
I got in trouble for it too by the venue.
Oh, really? Who did you go with?
It was a PBH, but the Pacific venue was called Nightcap. I can't believe we're naming names here. Okay. Nightcap in Edinburgh. Yeah.
Right. How many seater was your room?
It's about a 40-seater.
Oh, right. That's decent then.
Yeah.
Great show. Did you actually might walk away making money this year?
Yeah. It was okay. It was all right. I didn't go super expensive. People pay for PR and they pay for all the advertising in it, and I just go pretty cheap because it's just something that, the word fringe still means something to me, and unfortunately some people don't take that as you're competing against people who have 10,000 pounds. Yeah. And my idea is if I don't have 10,000 pounds, then I'm not even going to try. Yeah. You know what I mean? Exactly. I'll just go under the radar. You go out there, you do it, you try to get some reviews. You get the people in who are going to enjoy it. And some people, I've been there 2 years now, and people have come back and watched me again.
Great.
So, you do that for 5 years, and you build up enough of an audience who keeps coming back to see your shows, which is great, yeah.
That's it. It's, it's a marathon, isn't it? You're not going to go for the big hit, big money pit, and then just get disillusioned and give up.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you've been going comedy, at least 10 years now, have you?
Since 1999.
1999.
Yeah.
What's a...
17 years.
Oh, thank you.
Trying to do the math here.
I'm just getting a nosebleed.
Yeah.
You an actor first?
No. The acting hasn't really. I just come to see the show. The acting hasn't really taken off.
Right.
So I always thought, when I started off, I thought I would be an actor who sometimes do comedy, and it ended up that I was a comedian who very rarely does any acting work. Okay, I audition. That's the whole thing. Why it's called Professional Auditioner.
Yeah.
That's the other thing too. I guess it was so. It's funny when you go to Edinburgh and you don't know what's going to happen, but my show is called Professional Auditioner, and some people came because they thought it was called Professional Auctioneer.
Okay.
And 4 people come in, and that was about halfway through. That means that perhaps before people came in and didn't tell me that's what they came in for. That's what scares me now. I'm wondering how many people just didn't bring it up.
Yeah.
But since those 4 people admitted it to it, after that I was like, does everyone have the right show? You know what I mean? I made a joke about it, and that's how I started off the show.
That's great. That's a nice intro.
Yeah.
And the people raise their hands bidding. What are you bidding on? Are you bidding on me?
Yeah.
This is getting weird.
I don't know who would have a Professional Auctioneer show, or who would be excited about seeing a Professional Auctioneer show. That's what cracks me up. These 4 people are like, wow, this should be good, Professional Auctioneer. Well, it's going to be an hour of someone doing auctioning work. I don't know what it was. Maybe one day I'll do a Professional Auctioneer show. What the hell?
People walk in a very well-to-do, well-dressed up, and with clipboards, like estate agents, with oh, I thought we were going to buy some houses today.
Yeah.
What's going on here? This guy doesn't know what he's talking
Just
about.
false advertising.
Yeah.
What? And they were mad at me too. I thought, did you mean for no? Look on the poster and they were making my fault that they're idiots. They can't read.
Yeah, that's great.
But that's Edinburgh for you, right?
And do you get nice reviews this year as well?
I didn't get too many reviews this year. All the other ones were pretty positive. The year before, I had 5 in total, and only 1 bad one from Broadway Baby. I Hate You. And all the other ones were really good. I got a nice one from Chortle. That's up there. But this year, like I said, it was a bit more kind of under the radar. I didn't get my room until a bit late.
Right.
And because it was something specific, it was one of those things that I didn't really push for the reviews. I probably should have, but it was one of those things that were just
But
let's see how this goes.
Walking the Cat, that got good reviews as well.
Yeah.
But it's always good to have a hook like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
There's lots of cat things, things. And that got great reviews as well.
Yeah, but it was the same kind of thing, but I could play with it more. Whereas Professional Auditioner, I can't play with. So, to me, it's you have to write a show that you're going to do during the week, and then you have to be able to kind of play with it for your Friday and Saturday night crowd. Or if you're in the afternoon, but still Sunday in the afternoon you might get a couple of drunks. Saturday, Sunday afternoon you might get a few drinks. But it's almost like you have to plan for that a bit better.
Yeah.
Depending on where you are, of course. But yeah, and you're not going to know till the first week. But that first weekend, you'll be like, oh, okay, Saturday I have to do other stuff. I have to, sometimes you might have a couple of long stories, cut those stories out, do a couple more gags. But, it's just a pain. But
Just
that's the way it goes.
Shuffle as you go, sort of thing. And can you use any of that stuff for your stand-up?
Everything in Walking the Cat can be kind of used. There's a few stories in there that just are too long-winded. But Professional Auditioner, it was more PowerPoint presentation.
Okay, great.
So what I specifically wanted to do is that when you do spots, because you go up in Edinburgh, you do spots of other people's shows and try to promote your own. So when I did a spot, it was like 100% different than what was in my show. So it's just like, okay, you like my style of comedy, now I've introduced myself, come see an hour totally different of what you just saw.
Because otherwise it's not going to make any coherent sense, is it?
Yeah, it is for people who were there for it, you know what I mean? So, and you know, if it was something that interests you, people enjoyed it, yeah. Actually, you know what's really weird is that, this is another thing, there's so many great stories when you go up there. But I was doing a show, and it's so weird because comedy is so different. You have the lights on you in this club. You could see the front row. You can't see everybody. But in these smaller rooms that you're doing Fringe, you can actually see everyone's face. You know, some smaller comedy rooms you can too. Yeah. So I was doing a show, and there was these two lovely ladies that were there. They were enjoying the show, and then we got to a particular part where they started whispering to each other. And one of them was still laughing, and the other one got really solemn. She got really quiet. And I looked over, I go, is everything okay? And I could tell, doing stand-up for so long, like I said something to piss her off. Something set her off. She wasn't happy. And it was so weird, because normally I just let them go, let them leave, but unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, it was good, because I went upstairs and they were sitting at the bar having a drink, and I said, they said, oh, we enjoyed your show. I said, I gotta tell you, did I say something, or that's what's so weird about Fringe, because you never do this in a comedy show. You never confront somebody, you know?
Why?
Yeah, you never do that.
You love me?
I hide backstage when everyone's gone, I leave, you know what I mean? I never go out and do that, but like I said, it's different.
Please love me.
Yeah, exactly. It wasn't even full, so I mean, it seats 40, there was only 25 people in there that day. You know, you could see these people again, right? You never know. And it turns out I have a lot of stuff about some roles that I auditioned for as a police officer. She's a police officer.
Right.
So she does not like portrayals of police officers. So I saw clips of cops, and I auditioned for cops, and I got pictures of me, and she really doesn't like that stuff. Wow. So it wasn't me, particular. And of course, what are the odds? You know what I mean? That she'd come to a show and it'd be about, you know, stuff like that.
But it's acting. It's not, you're not...
Yeah,
like,
but I understand.
Okay,
I understand.
all right,
yeah,
all right.
I understand. If you ever seen, there's not many, because there's a great documentary. It's Jerry Seinfeld's Comedian. And that's really a good movie about being a comic.
Yep.
And then there's an old movie called Punchline. Have you ever seen that one?
Not that one, no.
Oh, this is from 1985.
Okay.
And this is Tom Hanks and Sally Field in it.
Right.
And it's terrible.
Oh, God.
It's terrible portrayal. Maybe it was like that in the 80s. I don't know.
Of comedy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And I still haven't seen a really good one where I've been like, yeah, that's exactly what stand-up is like. There's been a couple of TV shows that I think there's an episode of CSI that had some comedians in it. And but you know what I mean?
I get it.
Can
they do it badly.
Yeah. Can you name any movie that really has actual stand-up comedians? Funny people, but he's successful. I'm talking about a movie that has them... A real comic, not somebody who's a celebrity. You know what I mean? There's
a stereotype of a comic sort of thing. Yeah. No, I can't think of a decent one. They've done it well. I know what you mean now. So they presented the archetype of a comic or a job or a profession, and it's just they've totally butchered it. Yeah. And so she hates that. Yeah. Okay, I understand that. Yeah. And so you made it right with her, did you? Yeah.
Okay. No, she was fine. She just she was okay with the show. She just every time she sees it, she's just kind of rolling her eyes. Right. You know, it wasn't me. It was just the fact, and like I said, what are the odds that a police officer is going to come in and watch the show?
You would have thought that we can laugh at ourselves. You thought that profession needs to be able to laugh at something. You know what I mean?
Point. Yeah,
it's like you need some sort of self-awareness, especially in that job as well, to just not take yourself too seriously.
Yeah,
I wouldn't want to be on the other end of the law when she comes to get you. You know, there's going to be no quarter for you there in that situation.
The only thing I could say is because there are so many cop shows that maybe she's sick of it.
Maybe, that's it. How far did you go with it?
What do you mean?
How far did you go with the satirising the job? Or did you say...
Oh, it's quite a bit.
Oh, right, so you hammered it.
Oh, yeah. I don't even make fun of cops. I make fun of the roles that cops are in. Like, I don't even like... But yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but, it's like, come on, let it go, isn't it? Hey, there's worse things out in the world. Yeah. And she was a cop in Scotland?
Yes, I believe so.
Okay, all right, so it might be more difficult up there, that neck of the woods. Any other kind of strange things happened at the Fringe this year? That happened to you during your show?
There was... this was not even during the show. This is like you just always have these... There's a blend everyone's kind of in the... There's the cat right there, everybody. There's proof. Yeah. There's a blend of... You get into this, like, Groundhog Day, right? Where you're going to do your shows, you see the same people every day, and you wake up, and, you know, the day is the same, and you're having a good time. But Groundhog Day sounds like you're not having a good time. You're having a good time, but I think there's, like, something in you that you're a little bit tired, you're a little bit kind of hungry, you're a little bit... maybe hungover. Everyone's kind of like in a fog sometimes. And me and this other comedian were just talking at a bar. It was one of those tables that they have the candles in the bar. Yeah. And he was really drunk. I don't know who it was. I wish we got a picture with this guy, or I wish we talked to him or found out where he's from. There was a gang of them, and I don't know. They were in like a bar that's normally for performers. So they were probably a troupe. I'm guessing that they were. I'm going to guess that they were a play or an improv troupe, because I didn't recognize them, and I would have recognized at least one of them if they were stand-ups. He's sitting on, you know how some people just sit on a table? Yeah. And he doesn't realize that the candle has caught his jacket on fire. Right. And I don't think I've ever witnessed a fire before.
Especially a person on fire.
I've never seen this before. Yeah, and we're trying to... Johnny Cochran was sitting next to me. And me and him are like, you're on fire. And he was really drunk. He goes, no, it's fine. And he just was really casual about it, or embarrassed by it, or drunk, that he was not really... He was really nonchalant about it. And then you really saw how it could spread. It was like this tiny little flame that got to probably the big as your hand in a matter of seconds. So I actually tore off his jacket because he wasn't listening, and Johnny threw his beer on it, and we just put it out. And then his friends congregated around and just said, what happened? They were looking at his jacket, and they were kind of laughing, and they were all having a good time, and they just walked away. And I looked at Johnny and go, no one even said thank you to us. Yeah. You know what I mean? That's just... another evening out in, at the Fringe. Yeah.
Just a normal evening.
Normal evening, yeah.
Just saved a life.
Yeah.
Saving lives, guys. Bringing mirth to the world and just saving lives. That's it.
I would say we saved his life. We saved him from being burned. I don't think he would have died.
Or severe disfigurement. Maybe 20% of his body being burned.
I think that somebody else, if we were sitting there, somebody else probably would have caught it, but he might have had a burn.
Yeah. And if you just sat there, just drink your drinks and let someone else do it, you'd have been looking like a right asshole as well, wouldn't you? You couldn't let that happen.
Oh, he wasn't listening. We were yelling.
No.
We were yelling at him.
Yeah, I'll get it in a minute.
Yeah, it's nothing. It's nothing.
Just gonna get this drink. I'm going to just get some nuts.
I think from his angle, maybe he didn't realize how bad it was, but he was pretty drunk too.
Can anyone smell bacon?
Yeah. So... Yeah,
that's great. That's crazy.
I know.
Jeez. So you've been saving lives at the Fringe. That's good. I mean, did he not give you a good review?
Yeah, I know. I didn't really thought it. I wish we thought, let's take our picture. But he was just really drunk, and he was just an idiot, and it was just maybe he was embarrassed. I don't know what it was, but we just never. Yeah. You don't.
Cool.
Yeah, I guess you don't always need something posting on Facebook with a picture of it.
This is true.
Yeah, it's just one of those memories.
Yeah, it would have diluted the moment.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. Goodwill. I mean, he's going to send out some goodwill to you. He's like, those guys saved my life one day.
Yeah.
I've ended up in a canal once. I haven't ended up like setting myself alight, but ended up in a canal. But,
yeah.
That wasn't good. That wasn't a good time. What else have you been doing with yourself then? Are you still pursuing the acting stuff as well?
I've had maybe only about 3 auditions in the last 2 years. They've all, because now they have to have an American accent or Canadian accent, right?
Right.
So it's been something specific that they needed. And it's usually if they want an authentic one. There was one, it was so funny because my agent called me up and said they had an audition for McDonald's. And I'm actually vegetarian. And it's funny because they said I'm such a terrible... I don't know why I'm admitting this, but I just said, I'm a vegetarian, right? And they said it paid £16,000. And I said, well, my character doesn't have to be a vegetarian. Exactly. But I haven't looked at it that way. I've had auditioned for a few things where it caused me to... I never had to do it yet, but there was one that, I had to eat ribs in a commercial and a thing like that. And I kind of looked like, like I explained to my friend is also an actor and a vegetarian. And I said, if we play murderers, we don't have to go out and murder somebody.
That's true.
You know what I mean? It's all part of your character. And if your character eats meat or your character smokes is another one too, right? There's a lot of people who take up smoking.
That's it. Just for that one scene.
For the scene, for the character, or you know what I mean? All sorts of things that you do for the character. So I was okay with it. I never got it in the end, but yeah. But yeah, so it's just been just a couple for there, not too many.
You're over here 2 years.
Yeah.
And you've been going 17 years.
Yeah.
You go back quite a bit, do you?
I haven't been back in a while.
So why did you come over here? I mean, travel some distances when you go to gigs.
Yeah.
And we complain about traveling 4 hours. Over there, it's ridiculous, 12 hour to gigs. You're a lorry driver and stuff.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, it's...
this is a break for you over here then, really, is it?
In my prime, and this is like when I broke out and I was able to say... Basically, there comes a time, it's a really cool day for you where there's about a year of you having a day job where you want to quit your day job and do comedy full-time, but the work isn't coming in yet. But there's, in that year, sometimes even 2 years of that, where someone is saying, hey, Winter, we're going next week. The guy dropped out. We want you to go. You're like, I can't. I got a day job. I can't. I got a day. And that was me for about a year or two of constantly being offered. Because usually when you're new, you get those last-minute ones. That's what you get. And you got to be available. And then this opportunity is turned down and these gigs are turned down because you can't just drop your job. So I made sure that I had a massive tour set up before I quit. And I quit working... And I was living in Vancouver, and I was gone 22 weeks of that year. And I'm not talking about, gone and then back in my own bed. I'm talking I was gone for 22 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah, and that's just in Canada. I'm still in Canada at that point.
Wow.
So we don't do it like here where you drive and you come back. We go... And it is a bit different, though. Like, everyone thinks that you guys are used to the driving. It isn't, because sometimes we'll go and we'll get in the car and we'll go to Plymouth. And then we'll drive back. Whereas in Canada, we wouldn't do that. We would go out and do Thursday night in Plymouth. We would do Friday night in Penzance. We would do Saturday night in Torquay, and then come back. We would make it a little tour.
Yeah, make it worthwhile.
Yeah, exactly. That's more how we do it there. And we would be put up, but it would be less comics, too. We wouldn't have 5 on every one of those shows because that would be 5 rooms that the booker would have to put up. It would be 2 or 3 comics only.
Some King, he was saying that he was traveling 12-hour driving across the country to get to one gig, and then drive back some ridiculous hours in the car.
Yeah, he'll do that. But there are some guys who the thing is that sometimes you do drive to a gig and you can't go to sleep afterwards.
Okay.
So it's not like you do the gig, you go to your hotel room, you'll hit the pillow, you'll be out.
Yeah.
And he's pretty wired up, and some guys are pretty wired up. So you're talking about 4 or 6 hours after the gig till you're going to hit your pillow. So some of them just say, I'll just drive back.
All right,
I'm going to be awake anyways. But yeah, he has done that. Other people have done that as well. That's crazy, isn't it?
Yeah, it's mental.
Yeah.
And so
that's dangerous, too. I keep worrying about all those guys. And guys out here one day. I'm surprised there hasn't been something that's happened.
And you've got big animals over there that moose and stuff. And that.
Oh, yeah, nice stereotype. First of all, I don't know where you guys get this impression. Yeah.
It's it has a perception. It's bears and moose and everything on the road.
I know, and it was so funny because we were there in winter one time and someone said well, where are the bears? So we see bears. I go, well, first of all, they hibernate, right, in winter time, so they're not out in winter, and second of all, they don't patrol the fucking highway, the motorways, as you call them here, right? They're not out thumping it, They're way in the sticks, too. You never see them in the city. Oh, my God.
Yeah, those maple trees as well. All that maple syrup on the road as well.
Yeah,
it's no good. It's no good.
I've seen a moose. I've seen 2 bears in my life, but I've never even seen a moose, I don't think. Yeah, I've seen some deer and some elk, but I've never seen a moose.
That's big enough, though. When you don't hit that one of those,
yeah.
They don't hibernate, do they? They just stand in the road looking stupid, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know, he's looking stupid.
Looking majestic and treasured. Is that the national animal?
No.
What is it? A leaf. It's not even an animal, is it?
It's a beaver. I do a joke about it. Thanks for watching my set when we work together.
Sorry, man. I did watch it. I did. But I don't know about, but you were okay, cool. What else is happening with you at the moment? Are you just building a following over here at the moment? Or
I think
what's going on?
I think it's it's like club shows and bar shows in between festivals. That's what life is here.
Right.
And the next festival I have coming up... I got the Prague one in November.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. So 2 days in Prague to do that one. And then I come back and do the Aberdeen one. Oh, no, it's Aberdeen first. Aberdeen one.
When are you doing it?
November 1st is my show.
Okay.
So, and then Prague as well. So 2 in November. So, yeah, it's like filling in... There's so many festivals here. It's unbelievable. That's the other thing, too. There's so many festivals and there's so many fringe. And the fringe is so different here. It's unbelievably different here. There's just places to peddle your wares. There are places to do your comedy, and it's amazing because there's people I started off with that didn't fit the bill of a club comic. They were funny, they knew how to entice an audience, but they just, you know what I mean? They just did not have that late night. They could play to a drunk crowd, and nobody should, by the way, but that's the reality of it. But they didn't have that, and they stopped doing it, and they went and got their day jobs, and they moved on. And here, they really would have been. Because sometimes you meet somebody who's really good in the fringe, but they're not really good club comic, or they're not really a comedian on the circuit, but they're really good at the fringe. And some of those people just would have flourished here, and it's a shame. But you have so many options here like that.
That's it. You can. It's a lot more long form, isn't it? The fringe, rather than just like punchy. Okay, get them to laughs out every 30 seconds. You straddle the line of both of those things.
Yeah,
you
exactly.
Club comic and you're a fringe goer as well. And so you're doing the Aberdeen Festival. I'm doing that in the middle of October. I think it starts in October, isn't it?
Yeah, late October.
That's it.
Yeah.
And that'd be fun. So
it will be fun.
with Naz up there, that'd be good. And what show are you taking up? The one you did this year?
Breakfast? Oh no, it's just a compilation show.
Just a 20-minute spot.
Yeah.
Cool.
It's just a show that we're all going to do together, kind of thing. Yeah, it's just a club show.
That should be fun.
Yeah.
We're doing to Prague, you said?
Yeah.
Are you cracking the comedy store? You've cracked the comedy store already?
No, not the store. All the others, though, doing the glees and the stands and everything like that. The store is just one of those things where I guess it's on the list. It's tough. It's tough to crack because everybody wants to do it. And if you look at some of the credits of the people that they have on that show, they're quite impressive credits.
Right.
And but it's not you know, it's not the end all to the store. A lot of people I guess it all depends on your perception of what it is. I did the Manchester one, and that's quite nice too. But I mean, you know, there are if you're not doing a store, you'll still be okay. What I'm saying is stuff like that. But it is something that I really should get around to doing as well.
There's so many people doing that you're only going to have one or two gigs, maybe if you're lucky, a year from that place. So you need to garner all the rest of the gigs to kind of keep you afloat, because you're never going to survive just on that one or two gigs. You know,
exactly.
That's it. And you build your following and build your reputation up all around that.
Yeah.
And that just is one more string to your bow. We go, well, I'll play here. This is it.
And it's a shame, because I believe there was one time, I'm not sure, but I believe there was one time in this country that if you just said, you know, like, oh, I'm doing the store, people would be like, oh, okay, good, and that would be your way into other places. But it's not like that anymore. It's not as easy, because people just have different tastes, or somebody's been ruined to them, or they've been lied to, or it's not an open door policy as it used to be.
Who's been lied to? How do you mean? As in?
Well, maybe someone said, like, yeah, I do the store, and like, did they really do a 20-minute at the store? Did they do a 5-10 minutes at the store?
All smoke and mirrors.
Yeah, exactly. And I guess that's what it is. I don't know. This is before I got here. That was just something you could easily say. You know, I work the store. Boom, you're in. It hasn't really come up too much, too. Like, I'd say only about a handful of times someone's even asked me if I've done it, or like, are you into the store, or whatever the case may be. But yeah, that's on the list.
You grew up in Canada.
Yeah.
Is your family into comedy as well, or where did you start? Where did you get this from?
Not at all.
Just like a hole in your psyche that you need to fill.
Yeah.
What was it?
Geez, that's a good question. No, it wasn't from my family at all.
What did they do?
My dad's an electrician. He worked for Otis Elevators for 45 years. So, and then my mom was a housewife, and then when we got older, she was a secretary. So they weren't involved in the arts at all. I am the youngest, and youngest tend to have a sharper wit to them. They say, you know, youngest of 5 boys too. So, growing up, I watched the American kind of 80s comics, and I didn't really care for them.
Right.
They were quite filthy and quite... It's so funny, because you watch it now, and I'm like, yeah, this was filthy in the 80s. You're like, what? You know what I mean? Like, you know, he said fudge or something. You know, like, oh, that was risque, you know? But at the time, it was really dirty. It was really misogynist. It was really just weird stuff that I didn't really care for. So I actually didn't like the 80s comedy. And then around about the 90s or so, when it started to get more sophisticated and it started to have it, or you know what, I started watching it live, because I used to watch it on TV, and as you see now, even today, like TV and live comedy is different.
Yeah.
So when I went out and watched it live, I started to like really get into it and started to enjoy it. And then I was at acting school, and my acting teacher said that I should try it, because I sat down and talked to him about, you know, things. And I said, like, you know, I've been watching a little bit of stand-up, and it's not what I thought it was. And in fact, to be honest with you, I think I've had this conversation once before, that as a child, I never saw someone do stand-up that wasn't famous. I saw Eddie Murphy do it. I saw Billy Crystal do it. I saw Roseanne Barr do it. Everybody who I knew, Rodney Dangerfield, all these people who I saw do it, all these American comics I saw doing it, were already famous.
Yeah.
So I didn't know there was this amateur night circuit or anything like that until I was older. I didn't even know how it worked. I didn't even
There's no route, isn't it?
No, and you don't know, if that's what you just grow up watching it on TV. So to me, it wasn't even like a thing that people did. And then when I was in my late teens, my a friend of mine did it.
Was that in Montreal?
In Montreal, yeah. And we went and watched them a couple times, and it was still kind of 80s-ish because this would have been 88 or 89. And he was quite good. He was quite clever and stuff like that. But I just remember the compere being like quite dirty, and a lot of other people were just a lot of cheap gags. And it just wasn't to me. And it wasn't until probably about maybe even 10 years after that when I started watching, like, okay, that this person's a bit more clever. They still, you still have some potty mouth ones, but I saw more variety and 10 years later.
And who's the first person you saw live?
Oh, jeez. I remember about my uncle and aunt had like a anniversary, and they brought in a comedian, but I didn't care for him. So one of the persons I always say, unfortunately, he's not with us anymore. He passed away. His name's Erwin Barker. And if there is a link to your website, I'll send a link for people to see him and watch his stuff. And he was very, very clever and a very good joke writer. And he was also like a nice guy, because sometimes you don't be nice people in this business. He has a nice side out of comedy and stuff like that. And he would just chat to you like a normal person. He started a bit later in life, too. I mean, I started when I was 28, which isn't too bad. But he even started, I think he was in his 30s when he started. And he was quite successful. Unfortunately, he passed away. He had cancer, and he passed away. And but I'll put a link to it, and you can see some of his stuff. It was really him that I was just like, oh, I didn't know comedy could be like this. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you really pushed the boundaries of what you could do with comedy.
It was just intelligent humor.
Oh, right.
You know? It was just, and it wasn't like, it wasn't condescending, because sometimes intelligent humor can be, they're talking down to you.
Pontificated.
Yeah, it wasn't like that at all. So he was the first guy that I was like, oh, I didn't know that's what this is.
Do your brothers have anything to do with comedy, or what do they do?
No, not at all. The two oldest ones are, I'd say, blue-collar jobs or workman jobs. And then my brother got twins, where one of them is one of them is involved with it, because he did take acting up for a while, but what he does right now, he's going to kill me if he hears this, because I'm probably sure he'd like to be called an actor. But what he does is that he does bookkeeping for magazines, and he used to do some playhouses in between acting gigs. But he hasn't done a play in a while. But he did take up acting for a while. But he's more of a bookkeeper who sometimes does acting. He's going to hate it if he ever hears that. And then his twin is a manager at a store, like basically a higher end Primark store, kind of thing like that.
Okay,
yeah.
And
so not really, except for one of my brothers that's kind of involved in plays.
Do you write plays as well? Have you ever thought of writing a play with your...
All sorts of things. I got a really good advice when I was starting off, and it's just like, no matter what your idea is, always write it down. And if you're like, well, that's a good idea, but it can't really work for a joke, like that might come back. Because there was a comedian who did that, and he never even had any inkling to do sketch comedy. And basically, two of his friends started a sketch comedy show. And he didn't it wasn't his thing at all, but sure enough, he went back to these old notebooks, and he had ideas for sketches that he went and wrote them, and he was on them and stuff like that. And it was just stuff that wouldn't work in stand-up, but they worked in other things like that. So there's all sorts of pilots and movie scripts and sketch ideas and plays and all stuff like that that's all somewhere written down or written down somewhere.
Because it all bubbles up from stand-up anyway, because you're always on thinking about stuff, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly.
You never switch off and go, oh, that would work for this, it won't work for this, it's too long for that, and it's a little bit too subtle or niche for to be doing on a Saturday night or a night. So you start in Canada, and then you did acting. Was that from primary school? I mean, or
no, that was way after. It's unfortunate. What happened is basically when I was in school, my group of friends just weren't into that.
Right. It
just wasn't something that they were interested in. Had they been, I probably would have followed suit. And unfortunately, when you're in school, you kind of do what your friends do. I don't blame anyone for it, but it's just a shame that I wasn't friends with more people who were involved with the theater club and stuff like that. But maybe if I had, I wouldn't have liked it, and today I'd be not doing it. So that's the way it happens, right?
But was it like,
can't go back?
It's just true with drama and the arts. With it in Canada, I mean, this may be a very stereotypical thing now, but were arts sort of forwarded in Canada then, if you know what I mean? Like, because in Ireland, when I was going to secondary school and primary school, the arts were like, you don't want to do anything creative because you're never going to get a job in that.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
And then it's sort of like, okay, look, you got to do maths or the sciences, or look, do you have a farm? No, don't have a farm, but that kind of thing, or the industrial sort of
same kind of thing.
Yeah, thing, the same sort of thing.
Yeah.
So, and if you did anything to do with acting, you were labelled as slightly effeminate, or or like, you know, just in the weirdo group. That's what you're labelled as.
Yeah, I think so.
So
I'd say that's fairly accurate.
So it's kind of more difficult to pursue it, really.
Yeah. How old are you?
I am, I think, 36.
Okay, yeah. So not too far. I'm a bit older, but that's the same kind of thing. Same kind of thing that was emasculating.
Yeah, that's it.
It wasn't something that we took up, and I mean, you know, you can't blame anyone for it, but I think we did Grease was one of the plays, and it was just always like anything that, you know, they had the year-end school play that anyone could audition for, and it was never anything that was like, and I actually quite like Grease the movie. There's nothing wrong with the movie itself like that, but it was all old plays that just didn't interest me every year too that they chose, or anything in it. I just found it like just kind of lame, I guess is the word for it.
Was it Christian school you were brought up in?
No.
Just a normal... Yeah. I was brought up in a brother's secondary school.
Okay.
So every year was the nativity play. Every single year, the same nativity play. You know, they're just like baby Jesus and all that every single year. It was just like, oh, this is... And it never changed. It never changed. Ridiculous amounts of lines. It was crazy. But no one enjoyed that. No one enjoyed it. The people doing it, and it was just no fun.
Yeah.
But yeah.
And then it was funny because... in my early 30s, there used to be a comic. His name was Josh Stubbs, and he used to just go to these crazy. He used to find these crazy things, like he'd go to a book signing or a book reading, and he'd call you up. Like, I'm going to this. He would find these crazy things to do in Vancouver, and he called us up and goes, "You're not going to believe this. There's a school." We probably looked creepy going in. There's a school that put on a production of Beetlejuice.
Oh yeah,
yeah. And we all went and watched it. So you had 6 guys in their early 30s. Oh, there was a couple girls. So 4 guys, 2 girls. I think, in their early 30s, watching a high school production that I'm surprised they let us in. I'm surprised they didn't just look at us like, I don't know what you're here for. You know, you're clearly not old enough to be someone's parent and too old to be someone's older sibling. You know, we're just at that wrong age to be in there.
Of course, yeah.
And we went in. I think it was like a small amount we had to pay to get in. And it was amazing.
Yeah.
And they had the teacher come out, and she seemed quite hip and quite young. And it was really good, and some of the actors in it were quite good. And it's just a shame that, I mean, she probably inspired them, and somebody might be still acting today from that. But that's not what I had in my school.
Yeah, same. They're making a Beetlejuice 2 as well, aren't they?
Yeah, are they?
I don't think Michael Keaton's going to be in it. I don't think it's the second one. Because, I mean, he's going to have a really small head, isn't he?
Yeah,
because at the end of it, he just made his head really small and stuff. Right. So,
I'll tell you one thing. I've been quite enjoying the I call them it's funny, I call them European gigs, and I keep forgetting that. Well, we are in Europe. But the... overseas gigs, I guess. Is that what you call them?
Oh, yeah. Expat gigs sort of things, is it? Yeah.
Yeah, but sometimes they're not. I really quite enjoy them. And it's funny because the first one I went to was Bucharest.
Okay.
And it was weird. There's a Bucharest festival. And I think someone dropped out one of these things. I think somebody was also supposed to do it because I got it fairly close to being here. I've only been in there a few months. And it doesn't seems like something they probably would have planned beforehand. I think that's what happened. And I never even heard of the place before. You know, it's not something that's come up. And went there. Lovely city, too. I'm glad I went. And it's not a place I would ever go to. And that show probably had about 100 people at it. Probably 70 expats. Probably, if I was to estimate. Because the compare goes out, say, who's from the UK and stuff like that. Probably 10 Americans. And then about 20 locals whose English was good enough to watch the show.
Right.
And it was really kind of weird to fly all the way out there just to play to other UK people. 10 Americans, too. Every time I've done it, there's been some Americans. There's Americans, like, everywhere in the world that I keep running into. I'm like, why are you here? You know what I mean? Like, I'm here because I have a show to do. You know what I mean? Like, that's been really, really fun and really interesting. And they haven't all gone that way.
Right.
I'd say the majority of them have expats at it. But in Berlin, they did have some expats, but there certainly wasn't the majority. It was locals.
Yeah.
Obviously, their English was good enough.
How was that? How did it translate?
It was good because they've been there before. Okay. I think you run into trouble if you're the first ones. And this room has been going for a while in Berlin. So the only time you're going to run into trouble is if they have a comedy show and it's the first one they've ever done in English. You might have people showing up thinking like, oh, my English is good enough, or, you know, but they won't quite get it.
Yeah.
So far, not on wood here, that it's been okay. And there was only one in the Hague that just was sparsely attended, which it's a shame to go all that way, but it still was okay. It was still fine. You know what I mean? But they're usually really packed too.
And do you usually do like you doing a full show, or you just do 20 minutes stand up?
It's a club show.
Oh, club show. Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
Which is your favourite city to play in Europe?
I quite enjoyed. We had a really good time in Antwerp. Both times I've been to Antwerp. Antwerp's the only one I've been twice. I think. Yeah, I've done Antwerp twice. So really good time there. Had a good time in Malta. We had a good time in Guernsey, Norway. They've all been fun. God, if I had to pick one, I guess Bucharest, because it was the first one that I did, was probably the best time that I have, simply because of that. How is this going to go over? What's going on here? And it was really, really funny because they only had 2 comics come in. Me and Susan Murray. She did very well as well. And they had he was British, so they had a local guy who was like, he did the quiz of the show. He does a quiz there on Wednesday and Friday, and they had him compare. And he was just like, I don't know why they asked me this. I'm not a comic. I have no interest. Never had any interest doing stand-up comedy whatsoever. And you throw this guy to the lions and say, yeah, you got to compare the show.
Right. That's always a good start.
Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Like, and he was just going to go up there and just say, hi, everyone, your first comic is this. You know what I mean? And he goes like, well, what should I do? And I said, you go out there. You make sure you tell them what the show is, right? You tell them there's going to be 2 comics. We're going to have one come up. We're going to have a break, so you have time to get cigarettes, time to get more drinks, the whole thing like that. Tell them who's on the show, that there's going to be 2 comics. One's from here, one's from there. Ask where you people from. Say, who's from the UK? Give us a cheer. Who's from local? Do that stuff and stuff like that, so we know, or just to get them going and stuff like that. And I said, you do the pub quiz here. There must be one funny answer you've got. I think I've seen a couple comics who do pub quizzes that talk about it in their set. He's like, I got loads. I said, okay, we'll go out there. So he gives all the information to them. He tells one story, he gets a huge laugh, he brings the act on, and he comes off and goes, that's better than I've seen most compares do in London. You know what I mean?
That's it.
That's how simple it is.
And he was just being so natural and warm.
Yeah, exactly.
That's it. He's just being himself. And that's what compares needs to do, just warming themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, Dave, you've gone to 17 years now.
Yeah.
But when was the first moment you went, this is it? This is the thing. I know 17 years ago, do you have that?
I'll tell you when it happens.
Come on, tell me. Tell me what happened.
I'm still waiting for it to happen. Yeah.
This is the thing that, has just bitten me, and I can't let go of this. This is.
I would say there's been so many. I mean, you have to redo it. It's like any job. You reach a different level. It's really hard because you start off on amateur night, and then you become like a really good amateur. So they kick you off. They don't kick you off, but you move up on amateur night, and then you're doing spots, and then you're at the bottom of the list, and then you work your way up. So each level has something. But I'd have to say that one of the times that I always remember, and this is 14 years ago, and sometimes I could close my eyes, and when I open them, I could see exactly what I saw on stage. I could do that sometimes. It's really creepy. Not every show I've ever done. I'm not like one of those weirdos. But there's certain shows that just stay with you forever. And about 14 years ago, it was really bizarre turn of events where they had a show in Vancouver called the Urban Well. And it was on Tuesday nights. And it's so funny because it was a Tuesday night show. It had a professional MC to it. And they paid their headliner, which is so sad because I'm talking about 14 years ago, which would still be good money today. That's the sad thing about it. You know what I mean? So everyone did small spots, and then the headliner get up and did about 20.
Yeah. And
it was a bizarre turn of events that I asked to do it, and it ended up being exactly on my 30th birthday.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, there was like he said, yeah, okay, we have this date. Like there wasn't, he didn't say, well, how about this day? Like, oh my God, it's my 30th birthday. He gave me some dates. I said, yeah, we'll do it that day because that's actually my birthday. So he said, oh, perfect. So he gave it to me. So it was my 30th birthday, and the show wasn't going well. And it was a full room of people. I had some friends there, and they were chatty. Wasn't working out, and the MC, who was a really, really good MC, he was getting a bit of laughs, but you could just tell people were really disinterested. And it was so bizarre because, and now you can see this happen sometimes, is that the moment that the MC went up, he goes, okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for your headliner. Everyone shut up. And some people who had their backs to the audience turned their chairs around. And it wasn't because it was me, it was simply that word. It's time for your headliner.
Yeah.
And people might have been there before. Perhaps sometimes, people sit down and they get their first round of drinks or they're eating, so maybe the first couple of comics struggled because of that. But it seemed that it just really, it was going up and down. It wasn't like horrible. But it seemed like the moment that I got introduced in a real environment as the headliner for the first time, you really saw the power of that word. And then it went really well. And there were some people who were just like, how the hell did that go? Like people were just like, well, that would, they were expecting like, it's his first time headlining this room and stuff like that. It's his birthday. This is going to suck. And it was really cool.
Great.
So you saw the power for the first time of an audience accepting the fact that the MC has just introduced yourself as the headliner. You're the last one on the show for a reason. Let's all shut up now. I'd love to hear more about Susie from work, but we're gonna finally watch this guy.
We're paying attention. That's switched on. You said the magic word. You have that like so many gigs as well. There's some rooms that are some really really hard to play, and then you watch the headline and go, "What is it he's doing?" It's like he's just you get that extra respect. 'Cause he's on last, and he can take his time because he's got the extra time as well. He doesn't have to kind of get.
That's the other thing too. Yeah,
the opener has to like do lots of different things to get them, to get them on board and keep them warm for the next guy. And then because the MCs warm them up, you have to keep them warm but make them go that little bit further. And then middle act can just has a soft spot, and the MC can mess about with it as well. And then the headliner can just do his thing, can't it? That's it. It's but that's brilliant.
Ideally, it doesn't always work out that way, but ideally,
Sometimes places you have to re-MC the room.
It's the most. It's the easiest spot, but it's the most unforgiving spot, too, don't forget. Because not many people walk away ever saying, geez, I like the opener and the MC, but I didn't like the headliner. Those means to say, like, I didn't like that headliner. Right? I didn't like the headliner, I didn't like the headliner will be the first thing they'll say. Whereas if everyone's been struggling with the headliner was good, they'll walk away with a good show. So it is tough in that. You do have to bring it, and you are chosen for a reason, hopefully. So when you are closing up the show, you got to be there.
So that was the time when you felt that was it. That's
the
bit. I've got it.
Like this is what it's like to get that respect or get that extra oomph to yourself. I'd have to say that. Geez, I'd have to think down, but I'd have to say that was the first one.
So from that gig, I mean, it just kind of snowballs. Success breeds success, doesn't it?
A slow snowball, easy.
Snowflake. Moving to slight hail.
Snowball effect. 14 grueling years later.
It's like a breath of oh dear, water vapor just adding to the ball of hail.
Snowball effect. Not quite the what's that called analogy I would use.
Avalanche that you expected.
Exactly.
Oh dear. What is the most crushing gig you've ever had that's been horrendous? Where has it been?
In the UK, it was Liverpool. Yeah, that's where I died my ass the most. Oh, in Essex too. Yeah, yeah. When I consider somebody bombing, because sometimes people bomb, but if we all bomb, the whole show's bombed, then no one had a chance.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. If you show up with 5 or more comics than that, and on that bill nobody gets a laugh. And I hate to blame the audience on it, but basically nobody had a chance is how I'll just say it, right? But when I consider myself or anybody bombing, it's when the show goes well and one particular act doesn't do well. That's when I'm sorry, you bombed it.
Yeah, you just made wrong choice.
And I've had a few here, and Liverpool was really tough, but I wasn't here very long. I was cocky, and I definitely learned a lesson. And came out, and it was crossed arms kind of thing, where it was tough. And I know how I would do it differently now. And even like on the Saturday, I did it differently, but it was a different crowd, so it's hard to say. The one time I was quite shocked at, in fact, I don't think it's so funny. I think I've done like 3 gigs in Essex, and 2 haven't gone well. And it was weird. The third one that I did, we showed up for. The guy canceled on us but paid us and we left. It was that is such a horrible feeling to me. And a lot of comics are quite happy to get that. I feel awful when you show up, the poor guy's got to pay you anyways, and then you just leave. It's so unfulfilling and I feel terrible for it. But of course you didn't do anything wrong. Right? You did your part. You showed up. Yeah. And a lot of business people, I mean, it's really nice that they just pay us. I mean, but a lot of business people that... like, if their mode is business, would say, like, well, no, you didn't provide the service, but we couldn't provide the service because you didn't provide the service of filling the room.
That's it.
There's a legality to it that I don't think they have to.
You feel like you're stealing money from him.
Yeah, exactly.
You haven't done anything.
I haven't done anything wrong. I got to get out of my head. I got to just take it and say thank you and leave. But that's the 3 gigs I did in Essex. And the show was going well. And once again, I think I got up there, perhaps a little bit cocky, but this one had an explanation at the end. Because Liverpool, I still don't even know. I think I just came out too strong. Yeah, I think. But the Essex one, I did the set, didn't go well, and I got off stage and I was just thinking about it. And this guy came up to me, and he said, "Don't worry about it, mate. It's not your fault. It's your accent."
Okay.
And now I've been told that I don't sound Canadian to people. In fact, every now and then somebody thinks that I'm actually an American just saying I'm Canadian because I don't want to say an American. Like, it's that bad sometimes. Not that often, but every now and then that happens. I'm just like, well, why would anyone do that, right? So when he said, don't worry, mate, it's not you, it's your accent. I said, oh, it's because I sound like an American. And he said, you just sound like you're not from here. And I just went, wow. So that was interesting. And, I mean, that's not a reflection of all of Essex. This is just one particular pub on this particular night that had whatever the 60 people or 50 people in there. And even perhaps that's not even all 50. That's just the people who were in the front. 'Cause even in the back, they might have been enjoying it a bit and you couldn't hear them or whatever. Yeah. So, but a reflection of them, that's what the guy said. It's what one person said out of that group. So I don't want to generalize it all. But I was like, when I heard that, I kind of felt better that it wasn't my material or me, but I kind of felt like it was actually kind of cool to experience that, because as a white male, you've never experienced somebody judging you solely on something about you.
Just your accent.
Yeah.
That's it.
Just
same
simply...
That was in Essex, yeah?
Yeah.
And Liverpool, was that the same thing, do you think?
No, I don't know what it was, Liverpool. I never got to the bottom of it. It's just, sometimes I always describe comedy as this. Just think of it as that we're all players on a sports team. We're all players on a football team. And you could be the best player, and you're just going to have a game where it's just not your night.
That's it.
Just go home, go to sleep, come back. The next day you'll be fine.
Yeah.
And it's incredible when that happens sometimes. And that's the only way I could describe it to somebody. Like, it just wasn't your night. No reason.
I mean, you're a very warm and energetic performer. And as comedy, when you did that gig when you were on your 30th birthday and you did your first headline spot, do you think that comedy up to that point had changed you? Do you think that there was something in you that you needed to fill, or do you need to fix, or do you think you were just doing it for the love of it? What was the thing that you did it for?
Everyone's going to say, I hate this. Oh God, it's so difficult because a lot of people really psychoanalyze the stand-up comedian. And I really hate it. I really, really hate it because you've met enough. And how long have you been doing it now?
Just gone 5 years.
Yeah, 5 years that you've been doing it. You've met so many walks of life that do what we do, right? There's people who, if at a party, they're hiding in a corner talking to a plant. There's people who will walk in and have to be the center of attention. And you're like, can somebody take his batteries out? He won't stop. And there's annoying people like that. There's all sorts of men, women, black, white, Irish, every walk of life. You know what I mean? Scottish, Irish here especially here in London. You'll have everybody: Japanese, Polish. We got what's Romanian. You know what I mean? Like we have all sorts of different comics, all sorts of different personalities. Especially when you go up to Edinburgh, you meet everyone like that. That I hate it when anybody pigeonholes us. And one of the things that do pigeonhole us is that need for attention is one. And the other one that I really hate is that they say a comic was laughed at when they're younger.
Right.
They were brought up and they were laughed at, and this is their way to control the laughter. Now, unfortunately, that is the truth sometimes, but I think when it comes to because a lot of comics say they were bullied when they were young, but the thing is that you got to remember about bullying is that there's only two people: the people who were bullied or the bully. Right. So I'd say the majority of people were bullied. There's also effects, like, oh yeah, there's this one guy who hated me, and he was the only guy who really bullied me, I wasn't really bullied besides. There's always seems to be something, and the level of it, some people are, like, ridiculously bullied by the entire class, and some people are just like, oh, that idiot who kept calling me that name that, no one else would, So I hate that, but, because I was the youngest, I was laughed at by my brothers, but not really too much at school. I can't say, it wasn't something that happened, but it was a bit at home, and maybe I don't like it because maybe it hits close to home on that. But it doesn't matter what that is. It doesn't matter if you have a need for attention. It doesn't matter if you were laughed at as a kid and now you feel the need to control the laughter. You still got to be funny.
Oh, of course. No,
you know what I mean? If it's in your personality, if you want to be the center of attention, you still have to be a writer. You still have to be a performer. Yeah. You still have to want the lifestyle is the other thing, too, right? This lifestyle is not for everybody. And I'm amazed at people like my friend Gary Coleman. Let's keep naming names. He has a day job, he has a wife, and he has 2 kids. He didn't go this year, but last year he went up to Edinburgh for the entire month. And I said, Gary, you have a day job, a good day job. You're married. You got 2 children. I didn't want to leave my cat behind. You know what I mean? And I'm up here in Edinburgh. I don't know how you do it. And that's the lifestyle, right? You have to accept that. So he's in a relationship. He's in a spot in his life that he can go up there. I mean, the kids and the wife came up and visited him, you know? So the lifestyle of it is another thing. And even in the 5 years you've been doing it, you remember starting off with somebody who was probably quite funny and like, oh my God, this guy's going to be huge. And just the lifestyle killed them. And they're back to doing their job, or they're back to doing something else. And they're probably perfectly happy. Some people who are successful at stand-up can be successful in other ways as well. But for me, it's just, I enjoy the lifestyle, believe it or not. I like the people that I do shows with. I like the other comedians. I like getting to know the other people. I like traveling. So these aspects of it I like. But one of the main things is that anytime I've had a job, I'm rarely get good at other jobs too. So that's the thing. It's just like, oh, geez, I'm good at this, you know? But I'm bored easily.
Right.
And any job that I have, just get so bored of doing the mundane thing. And stand-up comedy is, if one thing it's not, it's boring at all. There's always something going on. There's something weird. Something throws at you. You got to put a fire out at a bar.
That's it. Yeah,
you got a cop giving you a sourpuss, and you don't know why. You know, there's always stuff like that to keep you on your toes.
But I'm not saying that your past defines you.
Yeah.
I'm just saying. I'm just asking. Like, you think it's changed you? It's made you happier? It's made you a more fulfilled person? Because you're saying that you're bored easily. So I think that, are you an obsessive person? I know, again, I'm not trying to pigeonhole you at all, but I'm just trying to say that a comedian, I think, in general, is generalising now, bear with me, is it has an unquiet mind. You know, they're always just thinking about something, I made a connection with that, or this'll connect with that. And just, we're always looking for patterns. As a human beings, we do. Yeah. But I think that the comedian's mind is always constantly. It's never quiet, it's never still. I mean, and of course, that is the thing that is the job, because you need to be obsessive about it to make it better. And do you think that has fulfilled that? Has it fed that need?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So
I would say so. I guess there's probably, you know, if you really sat down, there might be some other things that I probably could have done that could have fulfilled that. But it's sometimes it's one of those things that, like, I didn't choose it; it kind of chose me.
Yeah.
Yeah. If I started off and I was rubbish at it, or if I started off and I had a really good... That's the other thing, too, is that I've never had a really good day job.
Yeah.
I've never been the guy who said, like, I just turned down, 40 pounds a year job to do stand-up full-time. I've never had that. It's always been... I mostly worked in restaurants and pubs and stuff like that, which aren't bad jobs at all whatsoever, right? But it's never been something that you can't walk away from and find again.
Yeah.
So that's the other thing, too, is that I never had something that... It's always been going forward. It hasn't been something that, like, ooh.
Yeah, that gives you a nice chip on the shoulder as well, doesn't it? To go, God, I hate this. I don't like this.
I think so too. Yeah,
I don't want to do this again.
Yeah.
Oh God, and it strives you on, and you need that little, even with a happy comic or like a jovial one that you are, and the high energy that you are. You need that little. There's the edge of mania in that anyway, isn't there? Of like, oh God, this is it, and there's that fear of having no safety net.
Yeah,
and that's so that inspires you on as well.
Yeah,
and then this is the island. The comedy is the island. It's like, right, this is my island. I need to fix this. I need to find something. I have to find something on here. I'm going to make something. This is a raft. Oh, that's not quite right. Oh shit, it's sinking. I need to, I need to tie those knots a little bit better, or whatever it is. It's the escape pod. I think it has made you a better person.
Yeah, I think so.
A happier person. Well, not a better person, a happier person. Well, Dave, thanks for coming on the show. Tell me your Twitter.
Twitter is Funny Canuck. That's CAN. My God, I can't believe I just did that. CANUK. So it's Canadian UK together. And a lot of people say I'm spelling Canuck wrong, but it's because somebody else has the actual Funny Canuck. Right. Because Canuck is spelled CANUCK. And somebody already had it. So I took Funny Canuck with just the K. So I just a couple people like, you spell Canuck wrong? I'm like, oh, would you just... Yeah. So yeah, and then the website, davidtsonos.com.
davidtsonos.com. Well, thanks for coming on the show, man.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for stopping by.
And thanks, Mitzi.
That's right. Mitzi the cat is here as well. We'll put a picture of her up for all the people.
And that was episode 19 with David Tsonos. I had a great time talking to David. He's honest. He's a very funny man. If you haven't seen him, go check him out. You know what, right? Sometimes when I record these links, it just flows. But today, it's just clunked along. I don't know what take this is. I think this is take 20. I'm being a little bit too self-aware today. I'm being a little bit too judgmental with everything. I don't know what it is. You know, sometimes it flows, as I say, sometimes it just clunks along. This is one of those days when it's just clunking along. I think it's because I got a lot on. I'm going to see my brother. My brother's over from Australia tomorrow, so maybe that's what it is. I'm going to go see him. I haven't seen him in a while. I'm trying to get everything ready so I can have the day free to go and meet him. You know, you shouldn't try and force these things. You just try and let it flow. If you like this podcast and you want to follow us on Twitter, we're there at The Comedy Defect. If you want to follow me, I'm on Twitter at WinterPhoneander. I've actually started putting the at Guinness jokes on there. So I'm reading the Guinness Encyclopedia and getting as many one-liners of jokes and putting them up on a Twitter feed, which is at Guinness Jokes. Check it out. You know, you might be interested. You might like it. You might not. Hey, you might hate it. Just, you know, whatever. But I'm doing it. That's the main thing. It's doing things. The doing is the most important thing. If you want to come see my live stand-up gig dates, you can find them on my website, which is winterphoneander.com. Now, if you like this podcast and you want to donate to us, you can find us on Patreon. Just go to Patreon, type in The Comedy Defect Podcast, and you can donate as much or as little as you want. But if you can't kick something back to us, just leave us a nice review on iTunes or Podbean, because it really helps. The next episode we have is episode 20 with Philip Simon. Now, some of the subjects we talked about, Philip got very passionate about, which is great. You know, I love people being honest and passionate about comedy, and I agree with him on many of the points he made about what we were talking about. But I'm going to leave you on that as a cliffhanger. That's it now for this episode of the Comedy Defect Podcast. We'll catch you next time for episode 20 with Philip Simon. We'll see you next time.